So a question that we had from a viewer is, how has living in Japan changed you?
Whoa, that is a really good but really difficult question to answer. Hang on, let me just lock in on the driving real quick and I'll answer that in a bit.
It's a crisp winter's day. We're out exploring not too far from home, and in this video, we're answering all your questions.
Alrighty, so we're here at our first stop. We've got our first question. And Roy, it is up to you to answer now.
Yeah, so we've been here for 6 years living in Japan. And to answer the question of how has Japan changed me? I feel like it could kind of get long, so let's walk and talk. So I think living in Japan just kind of gives me an extra piece of inspiration about life that I just didn't know that I was missing when I was living in Australia. For example, I think the people who knew me in Australia could probably already see the difference in the now me. Like back then I would probably be invited to go out like on the weekend. I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, I'd be happier playing games at home or something like that.
I think I see it in you that you enjoy the challenge of learning a new language, meeting people who don't think the same as you. Like, I see that in you, like you enjoy that.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that you can kind of not necessarily get in Japan. That's something you could just get by living abroad, you know, this kind of inspiration. But something about Japan and like the inspiration of growing up with like anime and stuff like that, I don't know, it just tickles my brain in like a way that nothing else can. It's indescribable, really.
Okie dokies.
Yeah, so that was me. But what about you? How has Japan changed you?
I think the main way is that I'm more mindful of the people around me. Whether that be I'm out in the community, in the neighborhood, I'm mindful of how loud I am. I'm mindful of, that I'm not taking up too much space maybe, or like blocking people. Just, I think, compared to, like 6 years ago, me in Australia. In a very similar way, we also had a question about how has moving from Tokyo to the countryside of Japan changed you?
Okay.
Because now we've almost been out in the countryside living here for 2 years.
Yeah. I think you really feel the changing seasons in the countryside more so than in the city, such as like Tokyo or something like that. The climate there is like very stable. And yeah, sure, you do feel the 4 seasons, but I don't know, there's this whole concept of 72 micro seasons within Japan's climate or something like that. And this kind of goes into what I was talking about before, like inspiration for like life and stuff like that. I feel like with the ever-changing seasons, there's this excitement of, oh, like my favorite season's just around the corner, or like, oh, I have to get out and like enjoy the climate as it is now while I can do these things such as like going snowboarding with good powder, or like swimming in the rivers while it's still hot enough or something like that. Just feeling more in tune with the changing world, the nature, I guess.
And I think Japan, really especially, you feel that a lot.
Yeah.
Because not only, of course, are the seasons changing, but there's a kind of a celebration of the different festivals and the seasons, those little micro seasons. It always kind of feels like you want to be really present in the now, in this season, before it's gone again for another year.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, that's me, and I hope maybe other people are experiencing that living here too. Let us know. But what about you?
What has changed is my approach to Japanese as the language. I haven't necessarily gotten better since moving to the countryside.
Dude, stop, you have.
Okay, thank you.
Totally have.
Maybe a little, but the main thing is that I've got more confident in using Japanese, because when we lived in Tokyo, we did have Japanese friends. We lived in share houses. We spoke a lot of Japanese, but a lot of people did, even if they didn't speak English, they understood some words to an extent, so you kind of had a bit of a safety net. But in the countryside where we live, besides Roy and maybe one or two other people, I have to speak Japanese with everyone else in the community, right? And for me, that's a really good thing because it means it really forces me, I guess, to use Japanese. And when we first came here, I remember going to the bouldering gym and being like, oh, I want to make friends, but I don't really want to like talk too much because then they're going to talk to me and ask me questions and I don't know how to respond. Like, what if I'm just like, eh? Like, I don't know what words to use. I guess I was afraid of like getting into an embarrassing situation where I didn't have the language ability to answer something. But now it's like, I mean, I have to use Japanese to make friends, to like be part of the community. And so I slowly just used it more and got more confident and being like, I don't know how the sentence is going to end as I'm saying it, but I'll just get through. And maybe I say the wrong thing, use the wrong grammar, but mostly people understand what I'm saying, and if they don't, they help me out and we get there in the end and the world didn't implode. I'm still here and everything's all good.
Yeah.
All right, well, as Roy said, we've got to, enjoy these beautiful seasons and winter at the moment. So we've got lots more questions to answer from you guys, thank you, including things like, when were we first interested in Japan?
That's a good one.
But we've got to go seize the day and answer the questions along the way. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Well, we thought we'd get some lunch and then we'd come and sit with a nice view of Asama, Mount Asama behind us. But actually, it's really windy.
And it's cold.
It's actually not the best way to be spending winter. But, let's just whip out a couple more questions while we're here, huh?
Yep.
This one's from Jennifer, and she was asking about she's coming to Japan in late May, early June. She's going to be hiking the Kumano Kodo and then doing some travel after that. And she was worried about rainy season and wanted to know what it was like.
Okay.
I would say that despite the phrase rainy season, it's not raining every single day during that time. However, there is more chance of rain and it is quite humid. So I would say that you just want to adjust a little bit how you're traveling. For example, things like onsen are really, really nice during that time. And are they nice?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I just said that, but then I realized, if it's really humid, do you want to go in an onsen?
Hell yeah. You want to go in an onsen all time of the year. But, when it's like you're in the bath water and it's like pitter-pattering rain, like that is such a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, I think like looking for any place with atmosphere. For example, you do want to be careful with hiking during this time. You don't want to be hiking on a day that's going to be really rainy and there could be a chance of, even flash flooding or things like that. So do be careful. But places like the Kumano Kodo, like temples and shrines in the mountains, ooh, the atmosphere is beautiful during the rainy season. And a really great thing is that people aren't traveling that much during that period. So things are going to be cheaper and less crowded. That's a really nice part of it. On to the next one.
Those noodles are good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Becca asked, she's coming in mid-October to Japan and she's wanting to see autumn leaves. And hold on, I just want to have a nice bite. And so she's wondering, where can she see them in mid-October? And the answer to this is go high. Go high in elevation into the mountains, because places like Tokyo, Kyoto, all the big names, they're not actually going to be seeing autumn colors until late November and even into December. But for places that we'd recommend, there is the Hakuba Valley, and there's two pretty short hikes there. One's called Happo Ike and one's called Tsugaike. And both of them, you go up gondolas first, and then it's like a couple hours hike, and the autumn leaves are really beautiful at that time of year. And then one that we did last year was in the Ose National Park.
Oh, that was a nice one.
It was nice, right?
Yep.
It's less majestic maple trees and all this kind of stuff, but just really beautiful, vast orange grasslands. And then another one I'd recommend is the Tateyama Kurobe Alpine Route, which goes up into the Alps again. And we've actually never done it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm not remembering this one.
Yeah, but I recommend it because I want to do it. And a lot of my co-workers at Japan Guide, during this autumn time of the year, they go out and they go to different places and they write up reports for the website on what's going on. And one of our reporters, Reina, she always goes to the Tateyama Kurobe Alpine Route, and ooh, it looks beautiful, and it's in October. I'd recommend that one too. And also, maybe check out Japan Guide. Each year has a bunch of reports throughout the autumn season. And so it's a good place to go and see, like, oh, this spot that I want to go was in peak autumn colors at this time.
Damn, what a plug.
Yep.
It's good though. Like, there's a lot of work that goes behind it, and it's like really handy info.
Yeah,
It deserves it.
It got really cold and windy outside, so we're going back inside the van. But there was another question, which is about what to wear when hiking. But we're gonna let future Amy and Roy answer that one. Good morning, hello. It is future us and we are going on a hike. So we thought that we'd answer Alex's question on Patreon about what we wear for hiking. And well, this is it really.
Yep.
The main thing I would say is that we have nice shoes and we wear layers because it doesn't change too much between winter and summer, right? We basically just take what we have for winter and we just pare it down into our summer stuff.
Yeah, like underneath all this, I've got my summer hiking top, which you've probably seen in other videos before. It's got this hood. I've really turned into a hoodie phase. I've used to have a hat, but it doesn't completely protect you from the sun, which is really, really important because you're at a high altitude. It's so easy to get sunburned.
Well, yeah, if you're doing high altitude above the tree line, right?
Yeah.
We learnt the hard way because when we were first out doing some hiking, I think we just wore really basic normal clothes and Roy wore t-shirts and got so sunburnt. But I would say that, you know, hiking stuff can be expensive. So if you're only just starting to get into it, and if you're starting with easy beginner stuff, then you don't need to go rush out and buy a whole bunch of gear. Just make sure that you have a couple of layers and you have nice sturdy footwear. And as you get more intermediate and advanced, then you can build up your like hiking outfits.
Yeah, and
And
if you
your
care
gear.
about brands, maybe go to Montbell. We're just basically a walking advertisement for them.
Well,
My
we
whole
say
fit is
that, but
Montbell. Except for this, yeah.
the Kathmandu. Montbell is just like a local outdoor brand store in Japan, and it's not too expensive.
Yeah, it's a
so
good
that's
price.
why we have everything
Yeah.
from there. And then Roy is holding in his hand, for winter specifically, we have gaiters that we'll put onto our legs so that our pants don't get all wet.
Yeah, keeps the snow out of your shoes.
Yeah, and then maybe one other thing gear-wise is that we use hiking poles, but that's not necessary. But I really enjoy them because on like loose terrain, it definitely gives you some more stability.
And when your backpack's heavy, I'm team hiking pole now. I've been converted
Yeah,
just
only
recently.
like for 2 years, right? Yeah. And then I guess the last thing is that we had a question from Vladdy about some gear that we are wanting to buy, like what's on our wish list. Hiking, outdoors, camera stuff.
Oh man,
Many things is the answer to that.
you want a new lens?
I would like a new lens. We've been using the same camera and lens for about 5 years now. It's just like the kit lens on the camera. I mean, it does the job perfectly, but I'd really like a longer lens, you know, to get the animals, to get the mountains. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Lots of outdoor gear that we want.
Nothing's coming to mind actually.
What do you mean? New snowboards?
Oh yeah, snowboards, new climbing shoes as well, new climbing pants. I'm just using these for like climbing pants, like when we go bouldering. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
There's a lot. A lot of the stuff we have at the moment is like kind of cheap beginner, like snowboards, for example, and climbing shoes that a lot of them we just got from the secondhand stores. So we would like to upgrade after 5 seasons.
Yeah.
But now it's time for us to go and do some hiking.
Okie dokes.
Okay.
Off we go.
Okay, we're nice and toasty warm in the van now.
Yeah. God.
This is a much better winter activity. Stay indoors. We've got a question from Ben on Patreon, and he was asking about if he's out in the countryside and wanting to just have like some nice sweet moments with locals, maybe just like a quick chat with them. How is it best to go around that? Is it just best to let the locals approach you if, you know, they're feeling like they want to have a chat? Or is there something that you could do to, you know, I guess open up that moment?
That is like such a good question. Some of these moments that you can have are the best moments you can potentially have on a trip in Japan, don't you think?
I agree. Just travel in general, right? Some of the best parts are connecting with locals and having those moments. I had two thoughts for this. One is that, of course, I think a really nice way to make yourself approachable is just to be really open and saying greetings like "Ohayo gozaimasu" or "Konnichiwa" with a big smile on your face. And I think that that naturally invites some people in. Maybe they'll, you know, want to have a chat to you. But I would say that the biggest thing is about the environment that you are in.
Being in a place where people aren't busy is what you mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I think that, you know, for example, sometimes you can have nice interactions in a cafe or restaurant, but also sometimes the person running that place, they might be the only person there and they're really busy, right? Trying to get everyone's orders out and stuff. So it's not the best environment to chat to someone. So I would say places where we've found we happen to have interactions with locals, a lot of the time it's michinoeki or roadside rest stops. Or maybe if we're walking out in a park, for example.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because people, you know, they don't have things to do and places to be as much. I just thought also don't be shy of using Google Translate and whatnot. So the next question is, did we face any problems when we shifted to or moved to Japan, or are we facing any problems still now? Which is also a very tricky question.
I mean, like a recent problem that I'm really going through it right now is immigration. Like I'm trying to change my visa and like it's been a process every year, and it's like that is such a ongoing problem that you just constantly just worrying, is this going to be the year that I'm just going to get kicked out of the country for no reason? Like I'm trying to like create a home here. There's always just this small, sometimes like, you know, unjustifiable, like part of you that's just like, this could be it. My visa could not get renewed for some silly reason. And then everything that I've worked to is just like gonna crumble away. Like that is something that I have struggled with every single year when I have to renew my visa, and it's something that I'm going through literally right now.
You know, it's not necessarily a problem for us in the sense that, you know, we've never had rejections or anything, but yeah, it is just like the process itself can take some time, especially recently, you know, can take 2 or 3 months to get a new visa, like change your visa over, and you just got to be on top of everything, right? All of the processes, all of the paperwork that you need. If you are a full-time employee with a company, and some companies will hire a lawyer and do the process for you, then like maybe it's not a problem at all.
That's the way to go.
That would be nice. Another problem that I would say can come up is finding places to rent. Disclaimer, we haven't really had any issues with this, and I'll explain why. But we do have a lot of friends, and this is simply based in Tokyo, who find it really, really difficult to find apartments to rent, because what happens is they'll go into a real estate agent and they'll say like, these are my criteria for what I'd like to rent, and then they go, okay, there are 200 apartments available. And then when they filter that down to which ones will accept foreigners, it filters down to like 5. So we never experienced that ourselves living in Tokyo, because we always lived in share houses.
Foreigner-friendly share houses.
Yeah. And then when we came out to the countryside, we actually were really worried about this. We thought, oh, maybe it's going to be even worse out here in Nagano, because maybe they're even less used to foreigners. But weirdly, in our experience, it was the opposite.
Yeah, so smooth.
So smooth. But I don't know how representative our experience is in the countryside. It might not be very representative at all, I'm not sure. And maybe if you're watching this and you have experiences to share, perhaps put them down in the comments because it'd be interesting to know. But yeah, that's a big one. And I must say, regardless of a person's Japanese language ability, like we have friends who are N1 level, for example, regardless of the country they're from, like it just seemed across the board, it was quite difficult for our friends who are foreigners. Next question is from Iva, and she was asking about, she'd love to know what books, games, and movies are our faves. Roy's favorites generally are anime and manga, and this is something that we don't talk about much at all, really.
Yeah.
But you are such a big fan.
Yeah. I mean,
Dozo, tell us about it.
what do I say? Okay, so I've just been watching anime since a teenager, really. Grew up on Pokemon and Digimon, anyone from the 90s, any kid from the 90s. And it just kind of transitioned into being let's continue watching Naruto and One Piece, which I first saw on Cheese TV. Shout out to any Australian Cheese TV knowers. And then yeah, you watch the end of those and you go, well, this is cool, anime's sick. So then you just keep watching it. And then you go, oh, okay, listening to Japanese is pretty cool. This language is pretty cool. And then you just start studying Japanese. Next thing you know, you just, you're a resident of Japan.
That's the natural progression.
But yeah, it's good. I've watched all those popular, the most popular anime series and more, hundreds and hundreds of series.
Can you give us your favorite?
You got to tell the story about the flower that we saw that day, Anohana.
Oh. So Roy and I went to high school together, and by about our second last year in high school, I had a really big crush on him, and Roy was so into anime, and we would finish school for the day and we'd go home and we'd be messaging on whatever the messages were back then, and he would just tell me for hours about the anime that he was watching. I think there was Bleach and One Piece, and I was just yes, I love this boy. I'm gonna listen to everything he's telling me, and this is so interesting, even though I'd never watched any anime before in my life. And then he told me about Anohana, and he was I just watched this, and I cried in the end because it was so sad. He was you should watch it, and I was oh, okay. So I think that was the first anime that I watched, and I remember thinking oh, I didn't cry, but that's sweet that he did. And then from there, well, and because of other reasons, but then we started dating. But
No, she liked me just because of the anime. But it's cool though, because the anime that I made her watch actually made her watch, I don't know about that, but anyway, is actually set in a rural Japanese town, somewhat near Tokyo, Chichibu. And then years and years later, talking 10 years later, we go there and we're traveling, and the town tourism has integrated itself with the anime story as well, and it's just so freaking cool.
And for me, I have been getting into reading again recently. I used to read so much as a kid. You did too.
Heaps.
And then I was you know what? I scroll so much on social media. I'm gonna buy myself a Kindle and I'm gonna replace my doom scrolling with reading. And it's been so lovely. And I really like historical fiction. So I've been into an author recently who writes a lot of fiction around World War I and World War II.
For games, if anyone cares about games, I like Rocket League and RuneScape. But also I love getting Steam achievements or PlayStation trophies if you wish. So I like 100% completing a game before I move on to the next one. Thanks, no one asked, but there you go.
This next question kind of goes into this. It was, what got you first interested in Japan? I think we already know it for you, right?
It's exactly what I talked about. Growing up with anime and then just and Pokemon, by the way, that was a big influence, but the games. You couldn't 100% say that it was only anime, because another thing that got me into wanting to go abroad is more or less language and culture as well. I'm not sure if I ever told the story, but I worked in a office, my first job out of uni, where I was the only English only speaker, because Australia is so multicultural, right? I was the only English only speaker, and I was sitting there in my office and I'm this is so lame, I need to do something about it. And so I just took what I was already interested in with anime, and boom, here we are. in Japan?
Yeah. For me, it was through Roy, kind of. I was similarly to Roy at the same time living in Sydney. I was working in a school that was just, again, everyone, all the kids could speak 2 or more languages. And one day they said to me, Miss Amy, what languages do you speak? And I said English, and they literally laughed. They were like, and what else? I was like, yeah. Roy already had this passion and interest in Japan, so it was kind of just naturally like, okay, let's go on a working holiday together, let's go to Japan, and then here we are.
Just couldn't leave. Yeah.
So we have talked enough. It's time to go do another activity. We're gonna go drive over to do something
I've always wanted to do.
I'm actually getting nervous now, seeing the ice.
Oh, we almost saw someone go over. Do you feel excited?
No, that makes me nervous actually. That's the natural section over there.
I guess so. Oh, it's
It's roped off.
roped off.
Oh no. Dream won't come true today.
This is so cool. It's always been a dream to like be on a frozen lake and especially like go ice skating. That's another dream of mine.
Oh well. We'll get them next time.
Yay! Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Even though we're not only on the artificial one?
No, but it's still fun. It's just a little bit hard and a little bit scary.
Now, next question for you.
Oh, yep.
What do you miss most about home, Australia?
I feel like it's a weird thing to say in this kind of like setting. The sounds of the birds, I don't know, like I don't usually care for them. I'm not like a bird like freak or anything like that. I don't really care much for knowing what they are, but it's just a nice ambient noise. You can hear a bird, specifically birds, and be like, ah yes, that's like home, like that's my childhood or something like that.
Yeah, we might put a video right on screen that your dad always sends us through beautiful videos, and the birds are they're just Australia. They just say home.
What about you?
That and family, of
Oh,
course.
family, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, of course.
Okay, off you go. I film you.
I'm not ready.
Give us your best. Give us your best.
Yosh.
Yosh. There's my husband. Look at him go. Oh, he's a fast boy.
So, ice skating was a lot of fun, right?
It's great.
A lot of fun. And actually, there was one last thing that I thought about that I miss from Australia, and it's how friendly Australians are when we go home for visits. Like, I'm always just pleasantly, happily surprised again, like it's kind of reverse culture shock by how lots of small interactions, whether it's talking to people at a cash register or your local postman, they're just always open for a chat and really warm and inviting.
That does happen a lot, doesn't it, comparatively?
So, what are we doing?
We're going to an onsen because I'm absolutely freezing after being outside all night.
The best thing to do to end a winter day.
Yeah, but that's everything for this video. Thank you guys for sending your questions in, and if there's anything else you want to know about us, just let us know in the comments. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.